Have you ever just stopped and looked at a line of code you wrote and wondered how on earth does this text actually make a physical microchip do something? Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a really deep dive into the heart of computation. We're going to start small, like single instruction micro-level small, and then we're going to scale way up to the massive world of parallel computing on GPUs. It's essentially a highly orchestrated silicon symphony, and I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide as we break this whole thing down.
So, let's kick things off with a fundamental question. Seriously, think about it for a second. You write a loop or a math equation on your screen, right? But how does that human-readable text actually transform into a physical electrical action inside a chip you can't even see? Like, what's the invisible translator working beneath the surface to make all of this happen?
Okay, let's dive into this. The answer to that invisible translation is something called the Instruction Set Architecture, or the ISA for short. You can really just think of the ISA as the ultimate interface, the master translator between the software you write and the physical hardware that actually runs it. If your computer's processor is a grand orchestra, the ISA is literally the sheet music. It defines exactly what operations the hardware is allowed to do, where to find the raw materials, or operands, in memory, and where to put the results when it's done. Basically, it tells the hardware exactly what note to play.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the CPU actually interfaces with the memory. You've got the program counter, or PC, and the control unit acting together like our solo virtuoso. The program counter has one simple job: just point to the specific instruction waiting in memory. Then, the control unit swoops in, fetches it, and interprets it using that ISA sheet music we just talked about. From there, it directs the arithmetic unit to actually execute the action. It's a very sequential dance, reading instructions and data from memory and executing them step by step by step, one by one.
So, what kind of actions are we talking about? Well, our CPU virtuoso basically relies on three fundamental types of instructions to get literally any task done. First up, data movement. This is exactly what it sounds like, just moving information around, say from main memory into a temporary register. The data doesn't change, it just relocates. Second, we have arithmetic and logic, or ALU instructions. This is where the actual crunching happens, math, changing the form of operands to spit out a brand new result. And third, branching. If the ISA is sheet music, branching instructions are the plot twists. They control the flow of the program, basically telling the program counter, hey, stop going in order and jump to this completely different part of the score.
Okay, let's make this totally concrete and walk through the actual, literal journey of a program. Starting over on the far left, we've got a high-level C program. The abstraction here is super high. It's meant for us humans to easily read and write. But when we compile that code, it translates into the assembly program you see in the middle. This is a textual version of those basic instructions we just covered, like data movement and branching. Finally, the assembler steps in and translates that text into the machine program on the far right. We're talking raw, unadulterated binary, just ones and zeros. That binary is the true hardware representation. Those bits are exactly what encode the instructions to physically flip the microscopic switches inside the CPU. Wild, right?
So, the crucial point here is that to make a CPU faster, we are absolutely bound by strict physics and math. Performance is measured in execution time, which means we either need fewer instructions, fewer cycles per instruction, or a much faster clock frequency. But here's the catch. With physical limits eventually capping how high chip designers can actually push those clock frequencies, we eventually hit a brick wall for CPU performance. To get drastically more power for massive workloads, we can't just rely on the sequential processor anymore. We naturally have to seek out a completely new paradigm.
Let's move along and see how this builds, because to break through that performance wall, we really have to look at the broader computing landscape. What we're looking at here is the hardware accelerator spectrum. On the far left, there's our trusty, familiar CPU. It's incredibly flexible. It can do almost anything, but it faces a trade-off. It's not always the most efficient tool for specialized, massive parallel math. So as we move right along the arrow, we start trading away some of that general flexibility in exchange for unbelievable specialized efficiency. And that lands us at platforms like the GPU. Now, we're not saying the GPU is a replacement for your CPU. Not at all. Think of it more as a specialized hardware accelerator custom-built to do very specific functions vastly more efficiently than a sequential CPU ever could.
To really grasp this massive leap in efficiency, we've got to look at how a GPU actually structures its execution. See, while a CPU might focus on running one really complex thread incredibly fast, a GPU is built from the ground up to execute thousands of lightweight threads all at the exact same time. Just look at the scaling hierarchy here. A single thread runs on a single compute core. Simple enough. But then, the GPU groups a bunch of those threads together into a thread block, which gets executed by a beefier unit called a streaming multiprocessor. And scaling up even further, multiple thread blocks combine to form a kernel grid, which is handled by the entire GPU unit as a whole.
Which brings us to a really fascinating architectural puzzle. Think back to our CPU for a minute. Remember how it has to fetch an instruction from memory for every single action it takes? If that's the case, how on earth does a GPU actually manage thousands or even tens of thousands of threads at once? Wouldn't it just completely collapse under the overwhelming weight of fetching and decoding instructions for every single one of them?
Well, the magical answer to that question is a little concept called the warp. A warp is a set of exactly 32 threads bundled together within a thread block. And what makes a warp so special and honestly so insanely efficient is that all 32 of these threads execute the exact same instruction at the exact same time. This is a complete 180-degree paradigm shift from that sequential, one-by-one CPU model we started with. Because instead of the hardware desperately trying to fetch 32 different instructions for 32 different threads, it just fetches one single instruction and applies it to the entire group of 32 all at once.
And if you look closely at this, you can see how the hardware scheduler bundles these threads in a strictly sequential way. Threads 0 through 31, that makes up warp 0. Then threads 32 through 63, that's warp 1, and so on, all the way up the chain. They don't operate solo, they move through the processor together as a single cohesive unit of 32.
Now, this highly specific execution model actually has a name, SIMPT, which stands for Single Instruction Multiple Threads. This basically cements the core idea we just uncovered. The GPU's streaming multiprocessor picks a warp, fetches just one single instruction, and then dispatches it to all 32 threads in that warp at the exact same time. Every single thread does the exact same thing at the exact same moment.
And this brilliantly illustrates SIMD in action. See that row of plus signs? That represents our single addition instruction being dispatched to a whole bunch of busy threads simultaneously. But look closely at the data at the very top, the numbers 1, 8, 3, 6, and so on. Every thread in the warp is performing that exact same addition instruction, but crucially, it's performing it on its own unique piece of data. It's exactly like a perfectly synchronized choir. The conductor gives one single musical note, and multiple singers sing that exact same note simultaneously, creating this massive, powerful wall of sound.
So, pulling back to the macro view, notice how perfectly all of this lines up. Our software structures on the left, the threads, the warps, the blocks, map flawlessly onto the physical hardware units on the right. It's an incredibly elegant, unified hierarchy, designed from top to bottom for absolutely massive parallel throughput.
Which leaves us with this final, somewhat provocative thought. We've just traced the journey from a single, sequential CPU instruction all the way up to a highly synchronized warp of GPU threads. As we continuously push the absolute limits of computation, facing larger and larger datasets and incredibly complex neural networks, how will this massive parallel choir dictate the future of edge AI and machine learning? The hardware accelerator revolution, my friends, is really just getting started, and understanding this fundamental architecture is your absolute key to grasping whatever mind-blowing innovations come next.